Welcome to Hope Project's video on credibility. You will have heard the Home Office and judges use the phrase damaged credibility, but what does that mean? Let's look at the words by splitting them up. To damage something is to impair, lessen its value, usefulness or normal function. This means it's no good anymore or it is not useful because it's broken. Credibility is a quality. It is something you have, like being honest. If your credibility is damaged, it means the value of what you said is impaired, broken, and you should not be trusted or believed, or you are not convincing. So when and how is your credibility damaged? There are three ways: by law, Home Office policy and guidance, and looking at the details of the case. The Asylum and Immigration Treatment of Claimants Act 2004, which we shall just call the Act, tells us what kind of behaviours to look at and when to damage credibility. The Act lists behaviours that the Home Office or judge thinks is designed or likely to conceal information, mislead, obstruct or delay making a decision on a case. Examples of these behaviours are not giving your passport without any reasonable explanation, or giving a document which is not a valid passport but using it as if it were, destroying, altering or disposing a passport ticket or document connected with travel. Not answering questions when asked by the Home Office or judge. Not claiming asylum in a safe country. Claiming asylum after a refusal or being arrested unless there was a good reason. In Home Office guidance and policy, they tell their caseworkers to use a structured approach to assessing credibility. The caseworker should focus on the credibility of the claim, that's the story, not on the personal credibility of the claimant, that's the person. They remind caseworkers to keep in mind the low standard of proof. In law, you must prove your case. In criminal cases, the standard is high, what they call beyond reasonable doubt, so you must be absolutely sure someone committed a crime because they might end up in prison for something they did not do. But in civil cases, it is based upon the balance of probabilities, which means it might have happened, and the more evidence you give to show it might have happened, the more the scales tip in your favour. In asylum cases, because people are fleeing persecution, the standard is low. For example, documents might have been destroyed during a war and are not available anymore. The Home Office will only accept the story and the facts if the information provided has sufficient detail and is specific. Details are usually given in a statement. Is consistent, which means the story has not changed, and coherent, which means it is logical, consistent with other evidence and Home Office reports. Plausible, which means it is reasonable and possibly happened. Together with the above, the Home Office will examine a case's credibility in what is known as in the round. In the case of SM, the judge found it is the task of the fact finder to look at all the evidence in the round. Some aspects of the evidence may themselves contain the seeds of doubt. Some aspects of the evidence may cause doubt to be cast on other parts. Some parts may shine with the light of credibility. Fact finder must consider all these points together and to reach their view as a whole on the evidence as a whole. But what we must remember is that details in a case may not always seem to be plausible, consistent or coherent, especially if a person has suffered abuse and torture. The trauma suffered by someone will affect their memory and the way in which they tell their story. Also, the Home Office and judges should not rely on what a reasonable person in the UK might think or act. That's simply unreliable. Different countries have different cultures, and just because we may react in one way does not mean that someone else from a different background would do the same. For example, a young man from Syria who has witnessed horrors of war is not going to have the same thought process as a young man from Scotland. They may react very differently to the same situation. Remember, there are many ways in which credibility can be damaged, but also restored. Country experts can comment on a current situation in a country and verify documents as genuine. Medical experts may comment on scarring on a person's body or give a diagnosis and discuss why a person is unable to give a coherent account because of their mental health or medication. To conclude, credibility is a starting point in all asylum cases. It is a quality that you possess and it will be assessed, but if damaged, it can be very difficult but not impossible to restore. As the philosopher William Clement Stone said, "The truth will always be the truth, regardless of lack of understanding, disbelief, or ignorance." I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and if interested in future videos, please visit our website.